Good morning, 8th graders. This is for chapter 14, the publisher chapter. We had already started this, so some of this will be a review. Also, what it will do is we'll go through these different PowerPoints, and then you can go through the other videos for help, but you need to try the different practice exercises throughout the chapter. So like I said, going through this, some of this we've already covered. So for this slide, this is also page 566 in your textbook. This is when publisher gets started, and remember we did go through this part already. And just remember that you have different types that you can pick from when you first start publisher. We had looked at the flyers on Tuesday of last week. So once again, this is from page 566 in your textbook. These are your blank page sizes that you can use to help start a template. And then from there, we move into the actual publication itself. And once again, we reviewed this already. This is from pages 566 and 567 in your textbook. So you have the information about your document. So up here at the top is your title bar. Tells you the title of your publication, what you're actually working in, just like what you saw in Word. Below that is going to be your menu bar with your file, edit, view, insert, all of those things. This is where it differs from Word. Below that is going to be toolbars, and depending on what you're doing, you'll have an extra toolbar up here for photos also, if you have a picture in there. And then you have your objects toolbar over on the left hand side, and your publication task pane, and you can see you have different options in there with pages, colors, fonts, and then the publication itself. These are all things we have already gone over. Then you have your actual document, which is known as a publication page within Publisher. This part is something we did not check out yet. This is the design gallery, and if you flip to page 568 in your textbook, they talk about it there. This is where you can create, or where you can find some different graphics, logos, calendars. There's this gallery, and you can see over on the left hand side that you have different options that you could click on for that. Within Publisher, you cannot directly type into it. You have to create a text box, and this is something we had looked a little bit at it when we were playing around with it last week. With the formats that we had picked, where it was a template, it already had text boxes in there for you. So remember, if you want to type in Publisher, you have to have a text box. Clip art, this is similar to adding just like you did in Word. You just have to go to Insert, Clip Art, and these, as we had started with last week, is you can move them around, you can resize them, crop them, change the colors, and you guys had the opportunity to play around with those. You've already sized them. Also, remember the little round circles are called handles. Your arrow or your cursor will change to something similar to what you see right here, the double-headed arrow. Remember, you want to use the corners for resizing your graphic, because then it will resize it proportionally. Whereas if you use any of the middle ones, it will either stretch it out taller or wider, whatever the case is, whichever one you use. Remember, you don't want funny looking people or funny looking animals. Some graphics, it's okay to use one of the middle ones. Most of them, though, you have to use a corner one. So this is something new here. Page 573 in your textbook. This is an example of what a master page is. This is kind of like a template what you do is you might create a specific design with this. So if you're working on something for business, or let's say the school, you want the same thing to be on each document that you're using. So you create this master page and it saves it to it. Then everything is going to be similar throughout that whole publication, whether it's flyers or newsletters or whatever the case is. Just like with Word, and I know we haven't gotten into it yet, you can add headers and footers. Headers are for those spaces up above all your information at the top of the page. Footers are at the bottom. Think about your body. Your head's on top, the feet's on the bottom. With this, a lot of times they'll have the date in there, the author's name, page number, maybe the document name. It varies with what's being used. For our purposes, most generally for this class and your class next year as freshmen, it'll be your name and the date. On page 574, you could see in there about previewing and printing your publication, and you can see you have the different options, very similar to what we went through already in Word. You have your page up, page down, you can zoom in and out. Here the main difference is going to be this color and grayscale button. So you can print it in black and white over color. That way if your printer is not a color printer, you don't have to go back in and redo everything color wise. You can also create cards in there. And I know we looked at the templates for them, but we just didn't get to them. And you can see how it is folded. It's folded into a quadrant. And you can see how the front and then the inside panels are. And that is on page 579 in your textbook if you'd like to take a peek at that. On 580, they talk about using multiple pages. This is really big when you're working with newsletters. Down across the bottom, you have these page icons. The one page that you are currently on, like in this case, the number 1 is kind of yellow and the number itself is bold. You know you are on page 1 at that point. We already messed with ruler guides. Remember, these help you line things up, and it can be vertical or horizontal guides. If you want to add or delete pages, it's pretty easy. You just have to go up to insert page, and then there's a box up that pops up, a dialog box similar to this one, and you can type in however many pages you want to add. Do you want it before or after the page you were currently on? And then do you want things on there similar to what you've had before? Do you want a text box? Do you want pictures and text? Everything that you already have. Alright, that is all for just highlights of this chapter. Make sure you go through, work on the practice exercises. I'll also have videos up for those. We'll see you guys later. Good luck at your track meet today.